Hey, Brian from Garage Mall. Today I have Amazon Basics 64 gigabyte memory cards. So let's open this up and take a look and see what we get. So it is the 2-pack. So it comes in a case, which is super helpful. So it has the two 64 gigabyte cards, and it comes with a adapter card as well. So you can plug it into like your desktop, your laptop, whatever you need to. But yeah, anyway, great stuff. And I got it especially for my drone photography because you only get one shot at some drone images, and you need reliable, super reliable memory. And yeah, Amazon Basics. That's what I use in them. Anyhow, Brian from Garage Wall, thanks for watching, and be safe out there.
Alright, so this is basically the takeoff of the DE-22. We are at Francis C. Walter Dam in Pocono, Pennsylvania. So we had a slight breeze. It was like maybe 7-8 mile an hour winds, and of course as soon as we start getting some altitude, the wind started. It was probably started to blow at a 10 to 12 constant miles per hour, and you can kind of see I was kind of trying to go down the street at altitude straight, and the wind kept basically catching the drone and moving it kind of on the left. Here I kind of stopped to see what was going on, and you can still see it's still kind of drifting a little bit left. I'm putting the stick to the right to kind of keep it centered, and it just keeps drifting over, and you can tell the propellers got into frame a little bit as it started pitching a little bit. So now I'm going to spin around a little bit and just take a look at the valley below. This is basically the I guess you call it the exit side of the dam, and that gives you an idea of how high I am. So I'm about twice the height of a standard telephone pole off the road, looking down in the valley. So we're holding pretty good, spinning around, and you can see me back there at the pickup truck at the top of the road, and this is the back part of the dam. And then that's kind of like I'm not sure what they call it, but it's like kind of like the water tower per se. And right about here, the wind starts gusting to about 18 to 24 miles per hour, sustained gusts, and you can kind of see how the drone is just fighting to try to get right. I actually, at this point, I have the controls pinned all the way to the right, and you can tell it's still drifting off from the center of the road. And now it's starting to turn a little bit on the axis. This definitely wasn't me turning it, and the wind just kept pushing. And at this point, I still have the stick pinned completely to the right. So now I'm trying to spin around, and I hit the home button. So now the drone basically it encounters, I guess, what seemed like it was like an updraft. So the drone started like rising higher and higher, and despite me trying to put the stick down to try to get it to go down, and now you can start to see the drone really starting to fight. At this point, I kind of just like hit the home button again to kind of see what it would do, and now the winds were basically a steady 18 miles per hour that was recorded in the area. Um, Obviously the winds weren't this bad when I started out, but it just started getting worse and worse as we started going on, and now you just see nothing but rotor. At this point, we are descending, but we are going super slow, and it is just it's like rocking back and forth pretty strong, and you can see how it's just tilted to the left, but I have the stick to the right again, and it's just not leveling out. So here it's starting to, I guess, basically pitch backwards. So now the camera, I haven't moved the camera at all, and the camera is basically just starting to point up at the sky as it starts at this descend. And the wind seems like it's calmed down, but it's still pretty sustained at about like 12 miles an hour or so. And now we keep going lower and lower, and it's kind of hard to see, but you'll see the telephone lines come into, I guess, frame here pretty shortly, but you can see how it's still pitching back and forth. Now this is the drone landing itself, which it's doing a pretty decent job of. I gotta say, it was right over the spot where it took off, but you can see how it is fighting against that 12 plus mile an hour winds. And every time it seems like the rotor comes into play, like now, and you see kind of like the front part of the body dip at the frame, it is going, it's almost landing, and you can tell from the wires on the right hand side, it's almost landing with its nose pointing straight up in the air. I mean, that's how bad the winds were coming off the dam.